This version of you that you've been carrying is not just a set of memories, it's a whole program. It's the constant loop of thoughts you've rehearsed, the emotional storms you've replayed, the echoes of experiences you never allowed to fade. And as long as that program keeps running, the scenery of your life remains the same. The burden you hold isn't always visible, okay? Most of the time, it's intangible, hidden beneath the surface yet, okay? You can feel it every morning as the pressure in your chest, as that inner whisper that warns you not to expect too much, not to hope too high. It shows up in the cycles you promised yourself you'd never fall into again, but somehow repeated. It's wired into your nervous system, encoded into your biology, dictating the micro choices that shape your days. It's more than a past. It's an ongoing frequency, like a track stuck on repeat, while the music of your potential remains muted in the background. No one tells you this part. You cannot step into a new life while still swearing allegiance to the vibration of your old one. Most people assume manifestation means just thinking new thoughts, visualizing, or writing affirmations. Yet, beneath the surface, they're still embodying the same identity. They wake up inside the same emotional weather. They tell themselves the same narrative. And they secretly expect their world to transform while their inner state stays identical. The truth is that the self you've been loyal to was never designed to create expansion. It was built for survival. It was born out of rejection, out of the sting of disappointment, out of the sting of failure. You never consciously chose. It was a defense mechanism, a mask you picked up to protect yourself. Over time, that mask fused with your sense of self until you forgot it was never the real you. Now, it feels permanent. But what if it isn't? What if the voice insisting you're not ready, that it's too dangerous to step forward, isn't truth at all? What if it's only the residue of a version of you that hasn't been released? Quantum physics offers us a profound reminder. Reality does not stand independent from you. It responds directly to your state of being. You are not separate from the field of possibilities. You are part of it, collapsed into form. So, when you wake up and embody the identity of yesterday, the field faithfully delivers more of yesterday. Not as punishment, not because you failed, but because the universe mirrors coherence. You are the tuning fork that instructs reality how to vibrate. Manifestation doesn't come from what you want. It comes from who you are being. Which is why this process isn't about adding something new to yourself. It's about peeling away everything false that you've mistaken as you. That old identity will always try to convince you to stay safe. But safety is not the purpose of your soul. Comfort zones are not your destiny. The self you've built from guilt, shame, rejection, or loss is not the version of you who thrives in the visions you've glimpsed. That higher timeline is already alive, not in some far-off future, but vibrating right now in a parallel layer of existence. And you don't chase it to align with it. But alignment requires one thing: releasing the emotional addiction to your past. You cannot keep looping through anger, regret, or self-doubt and simultaneously expect to expand. You cannot show up as yesterday's self and collapse a tomorrow you've never stepped into before. So what do we do? In this journey together, we will interrupt that loop. We will face the old identity, not with judgment, but with gratitude for the lessons it carried, and then we'll let it go. We will enter the quantum field, not only with intention, but with vibration. Because the field does not respond to words, responds to being. I will guide you to dissolve the energetic imprint of the past, so that you can finally inhabit the self who is already living the reality you've been asking for. Because the universe isn't waiting for you to work harder. It's waiting for you to broadcast differently. You're not stuck because the future doesn't exist. You're stuck because your identity keeps collapsing the same outcomes over and over. When you release the weight, the labels, and the wounds, reality bends. Life reorganizes. The field reshapes itself around you. Not because of what you say, but because of who you become. So take a deep breath. Something is stirring inside of you right now, not from the outside, but from within. Are you ready to encounter the version of yourself that is already free? Let's move forward. You open your eyes in the same bed, yet your mind is instantly filled with the same internal monologue. Maybe you whisper, "I hope today will be different." But the moment you step out of bed, your body has already committed to the patterns of the past. Why? Because long before your conscious mind decides, your subconscious identity has already taken control. You're not stepping into a brand new day, you're stepping into an old self. Again, your body remembers. It doesn't only recall events as memories, it remembers as biology. Emotions crystallize into chemical signatures. Behaviors repeat as automatic programs. And until this pattern is broken, the new version of you will remain waiting on the sidelines, asking to be let in. As the years pass, many people stop truly engaging with the present moment. Instead of meeting life fresh, they unknowingly recycled the past, replaying the same mental and emotional tapes until the present stops feeling new and starts feeling like a repeated scene. Neuroscience backs this up. Dr. Joe Dispenza explains that by the time you reach 35, nearly 95% of who you are has become a collection of memorized reactions, ingrained habits, and deeply wired beliefs and attitudes. In simple terms, most of what you think of as you is not your authentic self. It's a program, tenting, a script of the old identity running on autopilot. Biologist Bruce Lipton takes it further, showing that when you shift your perception, you immediately rewrite the chemical language of your body. In other words, your biology is not fixed, it's responding moment by moment to your state of being. This is why transformation often feels so heavy. You're not only trying to adjust your thoughts, you're rewiring an emotional addiction your body has learned to crave, the self that anticipates disappointment, that expects abandonment, that doubts its worth. Isn't defective it? Simply a system that once decided it was safer to shrink than to hope. At some stage, your nervous system concluded that suffering was predictable, and what is predictable begins to feel safe, even when it quietly destroys you. That is the real cage. Not society, not your environment, but the identity you keep carrying, even when it erodes your joy, your health, and your spirit. So the question is not whether life is against you, but whether you're willing to stop identifying with the emotions that have been rehearsed for years. Ask yourself with kindness, what emotional state do you experience most often? Is it worry, regret, resentment, insecurity, or self-doubt? And what if those emotions are not accidents at all? What if your body is addicted to them, rehearsing them over and over because they reinforce the familiar self you've been playing? If that's the case, then your emotions are not only shaping your chemistry, they're broadcasting a signal. Tenia and the quantum field is listening. This is why affirmations sometimes don't work. You can say you want love, but if deep down your vibration is, "I am not enough," intimacy slips through your fingers. You can imagine wealth, but if your nervous system is tuned to fear, opportunities bounce off your field. Not because you don't deserve them, but because the version of you trying to receive them is not yet aligned with the energy they live in. This explains why so many people read endless books, attend workshops, repeat affirmations, and still feel stuck. Change is not simply intellectual. Real transformation is vibrational, cellular, embodied. So what now? The first step is awareness. Not to condemn yourself, but to see the truth clearly. The person you've been is not permanent, it is a vibration you've been practicing, and any practice can be stopped. This is not about tearing yourself down. It's about granting yourself freedom from the identity that was only built to help you survive a different time in your life. It's a reality that no longer exists. Here, as the paradox, the moment you begin to observe your old self without fusing with it, the moment you look at those patterns from the perspective of your higher awareness, you become the observer. And in quantum mechanics, the observer changes everything. When you witness your old identity as just a pattern, you stop being the pattern. You become the consciousness holding it. And that shift of awareness is the first beam of light that cracks open an entirely new reality. So I want to invite you to do more than just watch passively. Don't just click like and move on. Leave a declaration for yourself and for the field. Write in the comments, I am ready to release the version of me that no longer matches my future. Not as a trend, not as superstition, but as a conscious interruption of the loop. Signal that you are no longer available for the past. If something inside you feels awakened as you hear this something ancient, something sacred, then consider subscribing, not just to this channel, but to this new frequency. 'Cause this space is not here to drown you in more information. It exists to catalyze transformation. If you are ready for that kind of shift, you are exactly where you are meant to be. Many of us were told to ask, to believe, to visualize. Still we wait for the job, the relationship, the abundance, the breakthrough. And when it doesn't come, we start doubting ourselves, wondering if we're blocked, if we're doing it wrong, or if perhaps we weren't meant for more. But what if the obstacle isn't that your desire is too ambitious? What if the true issue is that your vibration is still too familiar? This is the key so many teachings leave out. The quantum field doesn't move in response to your words. It responds to the energy signature you carry. The field doesn't take notes on what you say you want. It reflects one thing, only your state of being. This is the principle of vibrational coherence. In simple terms, coherence happens when your heart, your mind, your emotions, and your actions are all in alignment. It's not just a mental yes set, yes, the energetic yes the universe has been waiting to respond to. And that yes isn't written in a journal or spoken once in the morning. It has to be lived, embodied, and consistent. You cannot override your frequency, so quantum field doesn't hear, I want abundance. It picks up the vibration, I am not enough. If that's what you feel throughout the day. It doesn't register your dream home if you're vibrating from fear. It doesn't recognize your longing for love if the emotional baseline is jealousy, loneliness, or unworthiness. Not because the universe is cruel, but because it's precise, exact, like a mirror. Think of it this way. You, Dan T, raise your hand at a mirror and expect a reflection to do something different. You shift first, and the mirror follows. The challenge is most people are trying to manifest while still living from the identity of who they already are. They're reusing today's lens to reach for tomorrow that belongs to a completely different version of themselves. The self living in your desired future doesn't just think new thoughts, carry a new energy. They walk into a room with a different presence. They speak with a deeper sense of certainty. They have shifted from wanting to being, from hoping to embodying. Here's the science behind it. Every thought you generate emits an electrical signal. Every emotion you feel radiates a magnetic field. Together, your thoughts and emotions create a broadcasting energetic radio signal, constantly transmitting into the quantum field. And the signal isn't describing what you wish for, it's declaring who you are. So, ask yourself, what are you really broadcasting? Is your inner frequency aligned with the reality you claim to be ready for? Or are you still transmitting lack, impatience, fear, and doubt, while trying to tune into a station built on gratitude, trust, joy, and abundance? Imagine wanting to hear a breathtaking symphony, but keeping your radio dial set to static. That's what happens when the old self tries to call in a new reality. And this goes beyond surface level positive thinking. This is about energetic truth. The universe doesn't respond to rehearsed affirmations on your lips. It responds to the state encoded in your nervous system. Heisenberg's observer effect tells us that the very act of observation collapses possibilities into form. But here's the deeper truth. It's not just that you observe reality. It's that who you are while observing determines what reality takes shape. Neville Goddard put it simply, you are not manifesting, you are selecting. Your state of being is the selector. This changes everything. You're not dragging a future toward you. You're tuning into it, aligning with it, embodying it. Here is the key. You can align with a version of life your current self has never met, which is why the shift isn't external, it's internal. You transform into the version of yourself who effortlessly draws in the things you've been chasing. You don't pull reality toward. You elevate yourself to match it. Without identity work, manifestation feels like rolling a boulder uphill. You're trying to build tomorrow on the foundation of yesterday's self. And no matter how beautiful the design is, if the ground beneath hasn't shifted, the structure collapses. So the question that matters more than any technique is this: who do I need to become in order to be a vibrational match to what I desire? Todd, not someday. Now, in this very moment, in thought, in feeling, in action, in embodiment. Because once you become, the universe reflects. And it doesn't take years. The reflection can appear instantly, not always as physical form, right away, but as energy, as synchronicities, as signs that confirm you've tuned in to something real. You'll feel it, that magnetic pull that whispers you are aligned. You'll stop forcing, stop chasing, and start noticing how effortlessly life organizes around you. That's when the field bends. Are you ready to meet the self who already lives your highest vision? You don't need to invent them. You only need to remember that version of you already exists, not in the distant future, but alive right now in the quantum field, resonating at the frequency of everything you've ever asked for. The only barrier standing between you and the version of yourself already living the life you want is your vibration. This may sound radical, but quantum physics has been pointing to this truth for decades. Reality is not a straight timeline. Time isn't fixed. You are not trudging along a narrow road from point A to point B, slowly building toward your future. What actually exists is a limitless field of now moments, all happening at once, each one available depending on the frequency you tune into. Science calls it the multiverse. Spiritual wisdom calls it divine potential. Different language, same truth. The self you've been envisioning, the one who is radiant, magnetic, healthy, and free, is not on the way. That self is already alive, vibrating in a parallel frequency, existing in a different energetic pattern, embodying a different state of being. Your role is not to chase them, but to collapse the distance between who you are today and who they are by shifting into resonance with that frequency. This isn't just lofty philosophy, it's profoundly practical. So pause and ask yourself, if the most empowered version of you were already active within, how would they think? How would they breathe? How would they walk into a room? How would they talk to a stranger, manage money, navigate uncertainty? Would they replay the old memories of rejection? Would they keep settling because maybe this is all I get? Absolutely not. That higher self emanates from trust, from centered confidence, from inner peace. They don't force manifestation with effortlessly through coherence. Their energy speaks before they do, and the universe responds to that frequency. Here, that's a secret most people overlook. The universe doesn't rearrange itself because you are worthy. Worthiness is already inherent. Reality reorganizes itself because you are resonant. Resonance is not begged for, it is embodied. That is why the most powerful shift you can make right now, isn't outside of you, it as within. It's the decision to stop clinging to the old story and start inhabiting the new one. Not because you can already see it with your eyes, but because you've chosen to vibrationally meet it before it arrives. You step forward first, and then the path reveals itself. So let's make this real. Close your eyes and imagine walking into a room. Standing before you is the version of yourself who already lives your highest life. Feel their presence, not as a stranger, not as a dream, but as someone familiar, because they are you. They've always been you, waiting to be remembered. Watch how they carry themselves, the calm in their breath, the openness in their posture, the sparkle in their eyes, the certainty in their voice. They don't explain. They don't prove. They radiate. They've released the weight of old stories, burned the scripts of fear, dissolved the mask of limitation. In its place, a new identity has been born, light, expansive, aligned. Now ask them, what did they release to arrive here? What belief did they set down? What wound did they stop rehearsing? The new self is not constructed by adding more layers. It's revealed by subtraction, by peeling away the programming, the shame, the outdated survival strategies, till all that remains is essence, clarity, alignment. This is the real transformation. You are not becoming someone new. You are remembering who you've always been. You are not constructing a new world from scratch. You are tuning into one that has existed all along. And here, as the miracle, the moment you stop identifying with the frequency of the old self and start vibrating as the new self, the field immediately begins to respond. At first, it may appear as a new thought you've never had, a message from someone unexpected, a subtle, intuitive nudge toward an opportunity your old self would have overlooked. Follow those signals, and you stabilize the new timeline. Synchronicities appear. Coincidences unfold. Life opens, not because you're lucky, but because you've stopped resisting and started receiving. In the most beautiful part, the old self does not need to be destroyed. It only needs to be honored, thanked, and gently retired. It was never bad, was simply outdated, like an old operating system that once kept you functional, but never allowed you to be free. Respect it, release it, and step fully into the identity that already knows the ending of this story. Because the truth is, not pulling a new life toward you are aligning with the version of yourself who has been living it all along. The question is, are you ready to meet them? This is where theory turns into embodiment. This is where knowledge becomes transformation. Information doesn't change you. Embodiment does. The new timeline stabilizes through intentional choice, through vibrational declarations, through full body alignment. So, here's where we begin a quantum identity reset. Not through force, not through struggle, but by dissolving the identity that no longer matches your future and stepping into the one that already does. Step 1. Give a name to your old self. You cannot release what you refuse to recognize. Call it something, a nickname, a symbol, a word that captures the you who has been looping through fear, doubt, and limitation. Once you name it, you'll see it clearly. Once you see it, you can finally let it go. Maybe you'll call it the doubter, the overachiever, the settler. Whatever name rises in your intuition, claim it, give shape to that old self, and then, instead of cursing it, thank it. That identity once kept you alive. It helped you navigate pain. It gave you tools to survive, but it is not the one who will carry you into the life you are meant to live. Step 2 is the ritual of release. Picture yourself carrying that old identity like a heavy backpack, or dragging a suitcase stuffed with memories, patterns, and labels. See yourself stopping, setting it down, unstrapping the weight. Feel what it's like to finally put it aside. You don't need to destroy it too, just need to release it. Visualize yourself walking forward without it, lighter, freer, taller. The moment you do this, you collapse the energetic loop that has held you captive. Space opens in the field for a new frequency to rise. Step 3 is embodiment. Ask yourself, who am I now without that old story? Feel it in your body. Stand or sit the way your aligned self would. Breathe slower, let your shoulders relax. Speak with grounded ease. Become the person who no longer chases because they are already vibrating as what they once sought. This version of you trusts intuition, radiates calm, moves through life with magnetic presence. The posture of your body becomes the posture of your energy. Step 4 is anchoring. Speak the declaration aloud. not as empty words, but as living frequency. I no longer collapse the past. I tune in to who I truly am. Again, I no longer collapse the past. I tune in to who I truly am. Let these words cut through the static of the old signal. Let them vibrate in your bones. Let them echo in your cells. You are not just reciting, you are embodying. Every atom in your body is listening, and so is the field. As you vibrate as this new self, reality begins to respond. As possibilities that were once invisible step into view. As people who resonate with your new frequency begin to appear. Life doesn't shift because you pleaded for it to shift, because you became different. You're walking in resonance, and resonance is your new reality. But here's the final piece. Ritual is not a one-time performance. It's a doorway. Each time the old self tries to resurface, and it's not sabotage. Simply a chance to witness, to acknowledge, to remind yourself, I've outgrown this. Every time you choose the new self again, you strengthen the vibration. So here's your practice. Each morning, before the world floods in, ask yourself, which version of me will collapse reality today? And then choose. Not mechanically, but consciously, with love, with power. Every choice sends a ripple through the quantum field, altering not just your life, but the lives connected to you. You're not simply changing habits, you are changing timelines. That choice is the reset. You've collapsed the past. You've entered the field as someone new. And when you truly let go of who you were, reality reshapes itself around who you are becoming. The shift doesn't start when the world changes, it begins the instant you change. And perhaps, for the first time in years, you can feel it. That weight lifting, that peace mingling with possibility, that whisper within saying, something has shifted. That isn't fantasy. That is the field responding. Reality has never been rigid. It's not fixed. It's fluid, alive, waiting, not for you to chase it, but for you to tune into it. This is the real science of manifestation. You don't drag your future toward you, you rise to meet it. You embody the frequency of the life you desire, and the outer world, by universal law, conforms. Not because it's magic, but because it's mathematics. Your vibration is the architecture of your reality. Change the vibration, and the structure of your life cannot remain the same. Look around. Maybe nothing looks different yet, but you are different. And that difference already rewrites everything. From this moment forward, every thought you choose, every emotion you embody, every belief you reinforce either stabilizes your expanded timeline or pulls you back into the past. But you've already made your choice. This is where practice begins. Not in theory, not in reading, but in life. When an old emotion surfaces, you'll recognize, this is not me, it's residue. When an old pattern rises, you'll pause and declare, I no longer collapse that version of me. When fear whispers, you'll answer with presence. When doubt returns, you'll ground yourself with breath. You'll act from a place the old self never had access to, and in doing so, you'll stop broadcasting the past. You'll have changed your signal, and that signal carries consequences, soul-expanding, extraordinary consequences. Some will arrive dramatically, unexpected clarity, powerful synchronicities, people showing up in ways that surprise you. Others will arrive subtly, a calm sense of alignment. Ideas that pour through you effortlessly, moments of perfect timing that confirm you are finally walking as your true self. As we close this sacred space together, I want to invite you into something deeper than a simple like or a casual subscribe. If this message stirred something in you, if it reminded you that within you there is a self that is not broken, not trapped, not limited, but luminous, infinite, whole, then leave a mark in the field. Speak not only to me, but to your future self. Write it below as your declaration. The old me has been released. Let those words become your energetic signature. Ripple through the quantum field, a vibration that announces to the universe, I am no longer available for the past. You're not leaving just a commencer inscribing a new identity into reality itself. And if this space has felt like more than just another video, it has felt like remembrance. Like coming home to something you always knew but forgot, then stay close. This isn't simply a channel. This is a frequency, living sanctuary for those of us collapsing old timelines and stepping boldly into the versions of ourselves we were born to remember. Subscribe, not just to stay informed, but to stay coherent, aligned, elevated. Because this shift is not just about you, it's about us. The more of us who vibrate in truth, the more this world bends to reflect that truth back. The field multiplies resonance. The personal becomes collective, and every choice you make to rise sends permission for others to rise with you. You are not alone. You are part of a field of awakened beings, remembering their quantum nature. And now that you've remembered, you cannot unsee it. The old identity has fulfilled its role. It carried you as far as it could. Now it bows, and the new you is already alive, already walking into the next chapter. In reality, it's listening. Always listening. So walk forward, tuned into your highest frequency. Okay? And I'll meet you there in the next timeline.